Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar titled Biodiesel Magazine's 2022 Editorial Preview. My name is John Nelson. I'm the Vice President of Operations, Sales and Marketing at Biodiesel Magazine and BBI International, and I'm joined today with Anna Simet. She is the editor of Biodiesel Magazine. And we do want to say, just remind everyone about our sponsor today, which is the Biodiesel and Renewable Diesel Summit that's taking place June 13th through the 15th in Minneapolis, and it will be co-located with the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo. So a couple things, just talking about Biodiesel Magazine itself. Biodiesel is a trade journal, and it's for, since 2004, it's been the trade journal dedicated to objective, independent coverage of biodiesel and renewable diesel production, news, and information. And it's really been the number one place where biodiesel producers go to get their information. And since 2004, being around for 18 years, it really has become the industry standard. So it is the place producers of biodiesel go to get their news and their content and their information. So just want to make sure we talk a little bit about that. A couple housekeeping items that we do have. If you do have questions, please write them in. We'll follow up and with you after the webinar. And then we are recording this webinar as well. And so roughly about 48 hours, we'll have it up and running where you can go on and you can review the content and circle back on some things if you had some questions. So with that, what we'll be talking about is the reach of the magazine. We'll be talking about some of the advertising opportunities. We'll talk a little bit about print facts, and then really what we'll get into is Anna will talk about the editorial highlights and a lot of the bonus distribution of where the print issue is going. And then she's got a discount that she'll be talking about as well. So let's get into Biodiesel Magazine and all the advertising opportunities. Again, this is the place where producers are getting their content. We've been doing it for quite a while. It's got a strong reputation. And so when we look at the magazine itself, we can look at the circulation, and we send out, each issue goes to 5,000 plus. So that goes out not only to our subscribers, but we also have our print subscribers. We also have our digital subscribers, which make up nearly 1,000 on our digital side as well. And then we also go to our shows, special events, bonus distributions, which Anna's going to be talking about. But in addition to all of that, probably the most important thing of where they go are all the biodiesel producers inside the U.S. and Canada. So each issue that you're getting is being mailed to those production facilities inside the U.S. and Canada. And if you're curious of what those facilities are, you can take a look on the next point I have here is the U.S. and Canada biodiesel plant map. So that is where everything's going to be mailed. We also have advertising opportunities inside the U.S. and Canada biodiesel plant map, and that is mailed to the 5,000 plus circulation. Plus, we print extra copies and give it out at all of the events, distributed at all the major events that we're going to be talking about as well. And if you want more information on that, you can go online and download the media kit. You can also talk to one of our sales representatives, and they'd be more than happy to walk through that with you. But one thing I did want to say about the biodiesel map is right now you can purchase an ad, and I know they're filling up, the spots on, for advertising outside the plant map, and I know that closes coming up in October. So that's coming up here shortly. So I definitely, if that is of interest to you to advertise on the plant map, which is sent to all production facilities, I know a lot of facilities actually put it up on their wall. And so it's a great place for longevity. If you're looking for an ad and you want it up and you want it inside a biodiesel production facility, it's a great place to put an advertisement. So next up, we have the Biodiesel Industry Directory. Now, this is printed and mailed with with our first issue of Biodiesel Magazine as well. And so they kind of go back. One is on the front cover, one is on the reverse cover. So they're actually printed together and mailed together. So Biodiesel Magazine and the directory are mailed together, and that is sent out to 8,000 plus. We actually print off even more of those directories, and we distribute those at all of our major events. So it has become one of the most popular products we have. From a standpoint of, I know, when we go to events, those are, the magazines and the publications that are taken first are directories, because everyone wants the contact information in there, and especially our producers. They want a place that they can go to find a service provider or, a company that is familiar with the ins and outs of the biodiesel industry. So if you are looking to get in there and just have your name out there, if anything, if there's one thing I would say you want to take away from this, get inside the biodiesel industry directory. You get a free print listing, one free print listing, and one free online listing, and that closes November 3rd. So once that closes, you can't get into this next issue. So if there's one thing, again, write that down, November 3rd, go online, do your free print listing and your free digital listing inside the biodiesel industry directory. Also would recommend looking at advertising opportunities in there as well. It's a very popular issue. So moving on to online. So in addition to the print magazine, we do post all those stories, but we do have stories being posted on a daily basis on biodieselmagazine.com, and on an annual, when you look at it annually, we have 382,000 page views and impressions, and so per year. So really, this is the place where we're seeing people go to, not just on a national level, but on an international level. They're looking for information on Biodiesel Magazine or on biodiesel. This is the place that they're going, and it's a great way for you to kind of ramp up your advertising from a digital perspective. Look at how you want to track your analytics. Again, online digital advertising is a great opportunity, and that is an option for you in this very niche audience. Speaking again of niche audiences, you go into Biodiesel World News e-newsletter. It's sent out bi-weekly, and so every 2 weeks we send this newsletter out, and that goes to 20,000 plus subscribers. So it gets clicked on quite a bit. Again, another digital option. If you're looking to advertise, we do have advertising opportunities on the e-newsletter, and you can track your clicks. So both online advertising and e-newsletter advertising options are available for you, and they're a great way to really look at your ROI and say, hey, how did my spend work for me in this particular situation? So custom. Some of the custom options we have our digital press package, and really when you're looking at a digital press package, we'll send out a press release to our news feed to 32,000 plus subscribers. So if you're looking to ramp something up quickly, get your brand out there, build awareness, or you have something urgent coming up, this is an outstanding option for you. We can put a press release together for you, send it out on our news email list, which goes to 32,000, and then you can see and track who's clicking on that. We also will do a medium rectangle and put that on our website, and then we also have what we do is we put it through our Associated Press, and we'll put it on our paid wire as well. And so that'll go out to all the energy hotspots all over the U.S. and North America. And so, again, if you're looking for something to ramp up quickly, this has become one of the most popular options, and everything is trackable. We can do it within a day. We can get things ramped up and sent out. So it's a really good option for some people. We also have our Spotlight feature. Anna's going to talk a little bit about this. But if you're looking at getting your product or service inside Biodiesel Magazine, we do have some options inside our Spotlight feature section. This is in the print publication itself. It's also emailed out on to our digital audience as well. So if you're saying, hey, I want to build my credibility, I want to showcase my company or product or service inside the magazine, and make sure I'm getting to those biodiesel producers, this is a great option for you. And Anna will kind of talk a little bit about that. And you can also talk to your account manager about that, the ins and outs of that. We also have our custom press release. Similar to our digital press package, this is one of the components of the digital press package. So if you're just saying, I just want a press release, send out to our news feed, we can do that for you as well. And then if you are featured, whether that's Anna and her team have featured you, or you're featured inside a spotlight feature, we can do a custom reprint, get an actual physical and digital copy of the magazine, where you can use that as a leave behind when you're out on a sales call, you're at a conference, you want some of that collateral that says, hey, I was featured in Biodiesel Magazine, and it's a great option, and it's pretty inexpensive to make those reprints happen. So take a look at that. Then we have some events and webinars. Like today's webinar, you can do a custom webinar about your company. What we recommend is doing a custom webinar that's focused on you, your product or service, and then also having a producer on, maybe someone you've worked with, if you've worked inside the industry. But when you take a look at it from a case study standpoint and you talk about what you've done in the field, it's a great story to tell, and we get a lot of people attending those webinars. We usually see about 150 to 200 attendees, and you get that information. It's a great way to build your brand, because you're going to be pushed on online advertising about the webinar. You're going to be pushed on the newsletter. You're going to be pushed, in our emails. So you're going to get a lot of impressions just by doing a custom webinar. Plus, you get to present your product or service to the audience. And then we also have some other events here. Just as I mentioned, as we're sponsored, today's sponsor is the Biodiesel and Renewable Diesel Summit. We hope you can join us there. It is co-located with the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo, and it is taking place June 13th through the 15th in Minneapolis. We also have the International Biomass Conference and Expo. These are some of the big events where we are distributing this magazine. And then there's some other options here as well that I want to go over. We do have Ethanol Producer Magazine, Biomass Magazine, as I mentioned, the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop, and then carbon. We also now, new this year, we are adding the Carbon Capture and Storage Summit, which is being co-located. Now, we have done this topic before, but we are also adding the Carbon Capture and Storage Summit to the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop. So big week going on there for renewables. And one last thing, kind of talking about who is reading this magazine, Biodiesel Magazine. If you want a breakdown of our audience, some of the bigger segments, you've got consulting and producers as the top segments of who is getting this magazine. Then you can kind of see its equipment and services, petroleum, and so on. So we'll move on. Again, you can get more information inside our media kit or talk to one of our account managers if you want to get even more specifics on the audience and some of those opportunities. One of the questions we get is, what about print? Is print still working? Is this something I should be doing? And based on third-party research, what we're finding is print is still a great place to be if you're going after a niche audience and you're going after an industry. And this is an industry publication, and what we find is our readers are very engaged, and they really fall in line with some of this third-party research that is listed here. For example, experience with magazine ads is the most positive. And I know, personally, when I'm looking at a magazine, it's more of an intimate situation. You're holding the magazine, you're reading the articles, and you're looking at the advertisements versus something flashing on TV or on the web. This is a very intimate medium of where people consume their content. And so something to keep in mind, when you're building your marketing plan are some of these facts, and you're looking at, should I be doing print? Should I be doing online? Digital options? all these things kind of need to come into play. Now, I personally would say, let's look at everything, make sure you're hitting your audience from multiple angles with the same message, and that is the way to really make your message stick. So one thing I do want to keep in mind here, the one other point I want to look at is larger ads and premium positions create stronger awareness. Now, this is true across the board. We find this on all of our third-party research, and we do it quite often because we want to know. But larger print ads, larger online ads, whatever it may be, typically almost in every case produce better results. So something to keep in mind, yes, they are more expensive, but there's a reason they're more expensive, because they generate more results. So you can take a look at some of the stats here. We do have this in the media kit as well. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Anna and let her talk about the themes and some of the bonus distribution. Anna.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. As John said, I'm Anna Simet, editor of Biodiesel Magazine. I'm also the editor of Biomass and Pellet Mill magazines. And I've been writing about bioenergy for 13 plus years now. So to start, I will chat briefly about what we cover in Biodiesel Magazine, and then we'll move into an overview of how the magazine is set up, and then we'll briefly cover the editorial themes that we have planned for 2022. So what do we cover in Biodiesel Magazine, and what's in store for 2022? First, obviously, we cover all aspects of biodiesel production from feedstock to end use. We've always covered biodiesel, of course, second most consumed biofuel in the U.S. behind ethanol, but we will be covering more of the booming renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel market as well, and you'll see that reflected in our themes. The biodiesel market is healthy, stable, and projected to grow. EIA data released in September reported 75 operating plants in 2021, with a collective capacity of about 2.4 billion gallons a year. As for renewable diesel capacity, it is expected to significantly increase through 2024, just based on under construction and projects in development. This growth is being driven by higher state and federal targets for renewable fuel, favorable tax credits, and the conversion of existing petroleum refineries into renewable diesel refineries. Just a little context in terms of how much growth. At the end of 2020, U.S. renewable diesel production capacity was about 0.6 billion gallons a year, or 38,000 barrels a day, and the EIA predicts capacity to total 5.1 billion gallons annually by the end of 2024. So over an 800% increase in the next 3 years, which is very significant. And as far as sustainable aviation fuel goes, it is co-produced with renewable diesel, a hydrocarbon biofuel or drop-in. It is evident that it will lead the way for the commercial aviation sector to reduce carbon emissions. There is one production facility operating in Los Angeles, but several more are under construction or planned. The EIA doesn't yet report production, but it does report RFS RIN data, and that indicates that the U.S. consumed about 2.4 million gallons in 2019. So the market really is still kind of in its infancy, but it is quickly growing for many reasons, including Biden's sustainable aviation fuel tax credit and other federal initiatives announced earlier this month. There is a goal of 3 billion gallons a year by 2030. So now let's take a look at Biodiesel Magazine and how it's put together. The front of the issues, we typically feature business briefs. These are news items, shorter pieces announcing things that include new hires, promotions, retirements, new equipment on the market, partnerships, new projects, important company milestones, the list goes on. We decide what to include on a case-by-case basis. Definitely welcome any news or press releases to be submitted to me anytime for inclusion in the next issue. Also on the front, we feature columns, which are pieces written by typically association leaders or industry experts. In the front of the book, like for example, the National Biodiesel Board has a special section. We have contribution articles. These are written by subject matter experts. They usually align with the theme. If you're interested in submitting something, typically they range around 1,200 words and include an image or two. I accept abstracts for these at any time as well. And basically, abstracts are just very brief descriptions of the article purpose, content, and intended audience. So if you have an interest in submitting a contribution, I recommend reaching out to me a couple months prior to the insertion date that you'll find listed in the editorial calendar. We will review that shortly. And then, of course, we have our feature articles. These are a little longer and more in-depth than contribution articles written by our staff, and they are based on interviews with industry persons. Usually these are about 6 pages, give or take. And finally, as John discussed previously, we do spotlight articles. These are really popular in Biodiesel Magazine. These articles are focused solely on a specific company and or the product or service it offers. It might be a profile, or it might narrow in on something very specific. The company gets to choose the direction, and we work really closely with them on, crafting something really great that they're happy with. These can be written by Biodiesel Magazine, or we do allow the companies to write them themselves if they prefer to do that. Okay, so now that we've taken a high-level view of the magazine and content pieces, let's move on to the editorial calendar and bonus distributions for 2022. Issue 1, mailed with the directory that John had talked about. The theme, biodiesel, renewable diesel, and sustainable aviation fuel. We'll cover all of these. The sub-themes are project development, construction, expansion, refinery conversion, process technology, catalysts. We'll also include an SAF market outlook. Our bonus distributions will include the International Biomass Conference and Expo with about 850 attendees, the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo with about 2,000 attendees, and Biodiesel and Renewable Diesel Summit, which has about 300 attendees. Moving on to issue 2. Sub-themes are feedstock availability, logistics, supply chain management, purification, pretreatment, low-carbon fuel markets, and net zero. Bonus distributions, the National Biodiesel Conference and Expo, mailed to all attendees, which is about 850. The International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo, and it's distributed to all attendees, 2,000. Biodiesel and Renewable Diesel Summit, distributed to all attendees, which is 300. ASAB International Meeting, Annual International Meeting, with about 1,600 attendees, and the NBB, National Biodiesel Board Membership Meeting, with about 100 attendees. So that wraps up our editorial calendar. Please reach out to me anytime with questions, story ideas, feedback, contribution or guest column, business brief proposals, any PR. I'm always happy to receive that. We really appreciate your support. We couldn't do what we do without it. And you can find my contact information at biodieselmagazine.com. If you just click at the advertising tab at the bottom of the page, you can download the media kit there. With that, a special thanks to the 3rd Annual Biodiesel and Renewable Diesel Summit, taking place June 13th through 15th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And of course, be sure to check out our upcoming events and take advantage of a 20% savings on a full-page advertisement just for attending this webinar. Thanks so much for joining us today. Be well, and we'll see you soon.